Hey there. I'm just wanting to open the conversation about communicating more successfully with your animals and in particular with your pets. So to illustrate how we can do this, I wanted to tell you a story about a dove that I had come and live with me for about 10 days. She was sitting on the ground when I walked down a driveway to visit someone, and when I came back out she was still sitting in the same spot, and there was a cat sitting on top of the wall above her watching her. So I walked over, she let me pick her up. It felt to me that something was possibly wrong with one of her wings or both. So I explained to her what I was going to do, and what that was that I was going to take her home with me just to look after her until she felt comfortable to fly again. She didn't seem to be too fussed about that. Slightly different when we got in the car because that's a little bit frightening. That's not a normal place for a bird to go. So I carried her and took her home. And the next morning, her partner turned up outside the kitchen window on a wall. So I'd been keeping the bird in our kitchen. She was given an area to stay in, which was basically the kitchen. I put a big sheet down and she could go in that space, and I explained that to her. And I'm also going to explain how I communicate with them and vice versa. So to start with, I brought her and we put her in the area, and I just explained that would be really great if she could stay there and she would be safe there. And I went and looked up on the internet what sort of food she eats, because I didn't know anything about Malaysian ringneck doves. So I went and bought the food for her, and I put a bowl down with that and some water. And every morning we would get up. Also, I would carry her into the bedroom because the weather was very cold at that time of year. It was spring weather like we're having out the back here. You can see the trees are quite, it's very windy. And it was pretty cold, and so she's not in her nest. So we would take her in our bedroom. So I had a little candle holder, which is sort of about that size, and she would sit on the edge, and I'd just put it down, ask her to get on, and she'd step onto it, and then I'd take her into the bedroom and put her on the table beside the bed, and we would turn the aircon on, so then she was nice and warm. So in the morning I would take her back out again and put her back in the kitchen, and I would sit on the floor and have a cup of coffee while she would eat her food. And then after that we would do our wing stretching exercises. So I called it our bird yoga. So it was just something I made up, but I mean, we all see birds stretching their wings with the leg out. It's like the stretch of the wing and the leg underneath. And so we would just do, I don't know, maybe 10 repetitions of that, so 5 each side. So I started off, I just showed her what I wanted her to do, and that's animals understand examples, so they like to see the behaviour. So we would just do those exercises together, and then I'd leave her and go and do what I needed to do, and we would just do that several times during the day. And she never moved from there. I took her out into the dining room, which was next door, and had ranch sliders like this, and she would sort of look at her guy out on the wall, because I wanted her to know he was there. And I mean, I know that she knew he was there, but I wanted her to be able to see him as well and not feel like she's imprisoned. So the next thing that happened was I had her over by the window seeing her guy, and then a blackbird that we'd been feeding out on the picnic table, giving cut apples to each day. That bird didn't really get that we were supplying the food. It felt like it thought that we put food out there, and if it was quick, it would quickly get it, and then it would win the food. But but when one morning it came down and it saw the dove sitting on the ground inside the window next to me, standing there. And it was quite funny because his reaction, or her reaction, was big googly eyes and like, what? And it was like a real double take and hang on a minute, what's going on, looking between us. And then it actually really understood that we were putting the food out for it. I don't think it had ever got that before. So that was really nice. And it changed how that bird ate the food and the relationship that we had with it, which was really cool. So instead of as soon as the door was shut and we'd moved away from the window, it zooming in, it would sit there for a bit and watch, and then it would just come down gently and get the food. So that was really quite cool. And then one night, she'd started, we probably were about day 8, I guess, or maybe 9, and the dove had started to feel like she might be a bit more capable, and she was feeling, I think, a little bit more anxious about getting outside. So we came home one night, we'd just had a drink with friends and gone out, and I came home and she was standing on the middle of 3 very fragile wine glasses, all really close to each other. And they're like a pigeon, so, you know, that kind of bird seems quite bulky. And I was thinking, oh my God, I don't know how you're going to get off that glass without breaking all 3, because I can't imagine, they're only a few millimeters away from each other. I can't imagine how you can lift off. Like if you were a sparrow, sure, but a big bird like that. She was just sitting on one edge of the glass, which seemed bizarre that she could even be not tipping it over, sitting on one rim of the glass. And I just said to her, I don't know how you're going to do it, but it would be really great if you could leave the glasses not broken, and it would be really great if you could get off, because that's really making me nervous. So I'm just going to go away and leave you to it. And so when I was doing this, when I'm conversing with the bird, I'm visualizing it. So I'm seeing glasses fallen over and broken, and that I don't want that, and then seeing them like they are, and then her not on them. So I'm trying to express in visual communication so that she understands that that's what I'm after. And this is one of the ways that I communicate with animals. So I show it to them in pictures. So anyway, I went out of the room, and 5 minutes later I popped my head round the corner to see if she's still there and is everything okay. I didn't hear anything smash, and she's back on the floor and the glasses are all fine, and I'm like, wow, that felt impressive, because it just seemed that she's so bulky that how could she do that? So I was really appreciative of that. So anyway, the next day there was a break in the weather, and we were due for another big storm coming in with all these winds, and as often happens in spring. So I said to my partner, I think this might be the time, but I really needed to know that she could fly. Now, I knew she'd gotten up on the glasses, so obviously she could get up to that degree, right? And she had her partner waiting for her, so there could be some safety there as well. But I said to her, okay, well, it looks like the weather, you know, we can either do this now, or we can wait until that storm's gone. And so if we're going to do it now, I need to know that you can fly around our lounge at least 3 times. Now, I don't know how she knew what 3 meant, because I hadn't actually, like normally I would go 3 means 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. But she just, as soon as I said that, she just flew, got off the candle thing, and flew around the lounge 3 times and came back and landed on the candle. And I was like, right, good, that's very good. I'm very impressed. And the other thing I need to know is that your guy is still there, so that I know that you have got a safety net. So I went and looked, and it's like, yep, he's there. So okay, well, right, so let's do this. So I said to her, you know, it'd be great if you guys have babies. You could bring them back. We'll be feeding you. So we'll just keep feeding, because we'd been putting food out for him as well. And so we'll keep feeding you as long as you want that food, and we're here. And, you know, maybe one day you'll bring your babies back. They would be really gorgeous. So that would be a nice story for us, you know. So anyway, so I said to her, okay, I need you to stay on the candle. I don't want you to get hurt because you're rushing and nervous and something goes wrong. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the ranch cider. I'm going to take you out and I'll put you down, and then I'm going to go back inside and shut the door, and then you can go up and see your guy and do what you need to do. And she was perfect. She did exactly that. It was such a beautiful example of listening. This is one thing that often we aren't communicating with an animal, and so the animal doesn't expect us to communicate because we're not communicating in a way that they understand. And if we can make our communication clearer to them and attempt more communication, then they will start listening. And it's like the blackbird. We'd been giving food to that bird for probably, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, and other birds, but like that particular one just would come down for the piece of apple on in that particular spot. So it was like his thing or her thing. And until he got that we had compassion for his species, he didn't see us as working with him. We were still an enemy. And that for birds and wild animals has to be to a degree, but we can still have integration with them, and we can still have some communication and some really lovely small moments of joy together. So that bird, once I'd gone inside, the dove jumped up on the wall, flew up on the wall, and so a high wall, like my height, 5 foot, nothing. And the boyfriend did the up and down, telling her off like for 10 minutes. And then she looked like she got fed up and went, oh, whatever, and flew off. And then he followed her. And I thought that might be the end of it. You just never know. But yeah, they came back every day, and then they did bring their babies. So it was really gorgeous. So, when we just are open to possibility and give out some love and compassion, we can have some really amazing results. So it's just one thing that might help you to work out how to communicate with your own pets. And if you've got any questions, I'd really love to hear them. If you have any stories yourself, please let me know. Thank you. Please like and share this video if you found some value in it. You're also welcome to comment if you're interested in learning more about creating a better relationship with animals and our planet. Thank you.